In this daily drop, I'm going to talk about why I choose certain cameras for certain projects. So let's go. All right, everybody, here we are, a new episode, and I am in the barn and ready to answer questions. And one of the nice things about the Daily Drop being a Monday through Friday series is that when people post comments or they have feedback or they have questions, I can sometimes address them in the following episode. And that's what I'm going to do today. Now, I have here the FX30 from Sony. Behind the teleprompter there is the A7C II. I'm just minutes away from doing the weekly live stream, and I wanted to address this question because I think it's worth talking about. And essentially, to summarize, the person was saying, I'm not trying to troll here. I'm just curious, and I want to know why you chose those cameras as your cameras for the Steadicam project that you just did. And it's a valid question. You know, sometimes when you're in an agency type of scenario, you have, clients and you're going to do a bigger production, there's an expectation, almost a disappointment if you're using cameras like this, but an expectation that you're going to be using larger digital cinema cameras. And there's still some truth to that in terms of that area. But I do have to say that we are at a point now with camera systems that are, especially the ones that are 10-bit 422 and have options in terms of the data rates and the formats that they can capture to. And of course, you can record externally as well in two other formats, that almost all, if not quite honestly, all of the modern mirrorless and digital cinema cameras that are coming to market are capable of capturing and producing great images. And, we're kind of past that hump where, there's big conversations about the color science being completely out of whack. Even Sony, in my opinion, at this point, has really started to figure out a lot of those things. And for a long time, they sort of had a look that wasn't as appealing. So people would go to other camera systems for that. But the reality is that the FX30, the A7C II, the Canon R5C, the Fujifilm X-H2S, the, insert name of camera system, they're all capable, especially even in those mirrorless cameras, of producing amazing images, 4K images, UHD 4K images. And in the case of the EOS R5C, 8K capture, really, really sharp, really, really good quality. So they're all great. And the reason that for this particular shoot, I chose these two Sony cameras was, well, number one, I had them, they're here, and I'm using them on a regular basis. And I know that they are capable of producing great images. But really, for me, the other two parts were autofocus, and I could have used, if I had them, R5Cs instead of these cameras for that production, for sure. But it was also just speed of workflow. So I had a conversation with the client before I went there and let them know I was using small format cameras, that they were going to be small mirrorless cameras. And don't be surprised and don't worry about the quality because I know what I can produce. That's not going to be true of every production that I do. There's a client that I'm looking at doing a project for in the near future. I've done a lot of production for them in the past. They expect to see Arri Alexas. They expect to see RED cameras. It's going to be one of those two for that production. And we're going to need two cameras. And I'm used to shooting with Arris and REDs and other high-end digital cinema cameras. But this was appropriate for a small to no crew scenario, especially a no crew scenario, because I could move very, very quickly and I could rely upon the AS system in the two cameras that I was using for the content that I was producing. So the answer is yes, sometimes you do need to have bigger cameras, but are you going to always get a better image from them if you know how to use those cameras and you know what you're doing? Probably not. Really, it's in all the other stuff. It's in the lighting. It's in your audio. It's in consistency. And, that's really what it's all about at this point because they're all really fantastic And there's a loud airplane over there. I don't know if you're going to hear it in this, but I apologize if you do. Those are my thoughts. We're going to be talking about cameras a lot more on this channel. And, as you know, this is not about reviews. It's about real world application and how you're using this stuff. But those are my thoughts. They're all great. You just have to have the confidence, the know-how in terms of the tech. You have to know your craft, and then you can produce great images with all of these tools. The client side of it, that's a whole other thing that you're going to have to evaluate based on the production. But it's not any harder to use an Arri Alexa than it is to use a camera like this. In a lot of ways, it's easier, but it's a lot more to deal with in terms of how you build it out and how you use it. And that's not a camera system that you're going to rely upon an AF system with, because it doesn't have an AF system. You get the point. All right, everybody, don't forget to, and I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.